Nestled along the eastern bank of the St. Croix River, Hudson, Wisconsin is a historic river town famed for its scenic beauty and bustling downtown. In addition to tourism, agriculture is a pillar of the regional economy. At a community gathering hosted by St. Croix Cures, locals like Claude Bovey have gathered to have their drinking water tested and to learn about water contamination.
Claude?
Hi, I'm here to get my water tested.
All right. And start with your well water.
I'm going to test it for nitrates. Nitrates are the most common contaminant in St. Croix County. So this sample's coming back at 10.1 milligrams per liter nitrate. So that is higher than the EPA drinking water standard of 10.
This film will explore groundwater contamination in St. Croix and neighboring Pierce County by sharing the stories of area residents whose families and livelihoods have been affected by this issue.
My name is Mark Borkart. I'm a PhD microbiologist, and I've been in the water quality field for approximately 40 years. There was two comprehensive studies done that did a statewide look at nitrate in private wells, and it turned out that 10% of randomly selected wells had nitrate levels that exceeded the EPA health standard. High nitrate levels, considered to be 10 parts per million or more, levels greater than that have long been associated with methemoglobinemia, that is blue baby syndrome. So it binds with the oxygen and gives babies a blue color. But more recently, the epidemiologic data links high nitrate levels to other health outcomes, not just with infants and children, but with adults as well. Colorectal cancer, thyroid cancer, and then also birth defects of the central nervous system. In terms of anthropogenic, that is human sources, in the studies we've done, two very large studies on private well contamination of nitrate, the single risk factor is the amount of cultivated farmland around a private well. The other thing, though, is that unlike public water supplies, private well owners are not required to test the water. There is no right to know for private wells. So they may not even know that they have a high nitrate level. They may not know that they're consuming drinking water exceeding the health standards. And especially for families and children's health, you really want to know how clean your water is. Groundwater is underfoot. We don't see it. We don't realize that it's shared. But what people need to recognize is that whatever you dispose of on the land surface with rainfall is going to come down. So nitrate, there's natural contaminants like arsenic and radioactivity, PFAS, microbial contaminants from manure and from human wastewater. All of that reaches groundwater. And the trade-off is helping our agricultural economy. We're an agricultural state, and we want to support that agricultural economy, and at the same time, we want to protect public health.
Not in my life did I ever think that we could never drink water out of a well in my area. It does not occur to people to check that, and they don't know. They just start getting sick and they don't know.
Ty Fisher and his daughter Sam live together on their family farm in western Wisconsin.
I'm Ty Fisher from Elmwood, Wisconsin. Left my dad's farm at the age of 19, came up here and started farming, and I'm still here, I guess, so 43 years I've been here.
Growing up on the farm, my job was to take care of the calves. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of summers of not only chores, but seeing your friends go swimming and doing summer stuff and you out in the field on a tractor raking hay. I didn't really have the respect for it that I do now. I got married, was living out in Baldwin, Wisconsin for several years. Then when I got divorced, I moved back to the farm and started farming with my dad. Me and my daughter started to get sick pretty much immediately after I moved her and my son back to the home farm after my divorce. My daughter was about 2. It started with us both having tummy issues and feeling very sick all the time, and then we were throwing up.
My granddaughter was always sick. We was always going to school and picking her up early, and she loved school. It's not like she didn't. My daughter took her to the doctors to see what was wrong, and nobody could find out what was wrong with her. Any father, grandfather, see any of his children get sick is devastating.
She threw up every single night. It was like a routine of her at the toilet, you know, and she was 2 and she just was extremely good about it. But we were throwing up a lot. And we went to the doctor and got diagnosed with cyclic vomiting syndrome, like a migraine of the stomach, you know, and that's why you throw up. But they were wrong. When you're sick, you drink water to get better, and that was what was doing it, was the water. So the more water we drank, the sicker we got. And then somebody brought up in the area there's, you know, like high nitrates in the water and stuff like that, and we got tested, and it was at 12.9.
Wisconsin's drinking water standard for nitrate is 10 milligrams per liter. Exposure to high levels of nitrate is hazardous to human health.
Immediately when we stopped drinking the water, we got better. It was like that.
It was the high nitrates in the water that was making her sick. As soon as we took her off the well water and put her on clean water, just a turnaround. She's healthy. That doesn't mean that she ain't gonna have side effects from it when she's an adult.
Yeah, we got better, but that causes cancer. And I don't know what it did to my daughter. Like, it could come up later on. I don't want other people to go through this. And there's a lot of stories of it in Wisconsin and children getting sick. And it doesn't necessarily stem from one thing, it's several things. But the one thing I'm dealing with is agricultural pollution. It's just devastating.
When I think of CAFOs, I think of the 10 Commandments, of where they infringe on everybody else's properties and where I make sure that my farm does not trespass onto other people's properties. It's just frustrating to see what they do to the land.
When I found out that it was the water that was making us sick, I'm gonna be honest, I was really angry. And then I was just like so extremely disappointed in what little protection that we have. The county, the state, they just really let us down. Clean water is a bipartisan issue. Everybody needs clean water.
Now, everybody that I run into that asks me questions about this, I tell them the first thing is to test your water. You think that your well water should be good, and it should be good. So many people in Wisconsin do not even know that they're drinking contaminated water.
I can suck it up, but the fact of not knowing is what made the difference. We just gotta get the information out there. Like, there's so many people out there that are just absolutely oblivious to the fact, and they're still, like I said, feeding the water to their kids. It's important to me because I don't want anybody else to go through that.
Water is everything. And if we can't have good, fresh, clean, drinkable water here, the business is done. I'm Larry Brenner, and I own a place called Vino in the Valley. It is a open-air dining destination, and it's been open now. This is our 19th season. We're just finishing up. I love it. I love great service. I love great food. I love, just breaking bread with some people and hearing their stories. And that's what I do here, is I go table to table.
Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you for having me.
It's come for the food, but stay for the experience. I built it here to show people the valley and let them experience the beauty of Pierce County. The river valleys here are gorgeous, and the Rush River and Lost Creek meet right behind the vineyard here. And some of the first great memories that I have of fishing was with my dad on this river.
This is where Lost Creek and Rush River come together.
I've always prided ourselves the water down here, and maybe I'm a little bit partial to it, but it is amazingly good tasting water. In fact, we just made a joke about it. We're going to give away a glass of water with every entree this weekend, and people will come down here and say, hey, do I get that free glass of water? And I'm absolutely, and enjoy it too. It's awesome. 19 years of heritage and building the brand here, and now our water might be in danger by what's coming. That's a terrifying thought.
The expansion of nearby concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFOs, raises the risk of groundwater nitrate contamination due to concentrated manure.
Well, you always think that, your well water is going to be great. Well, here we are, just a little over a mile away, downhill from that many cattle up here and that much manure, 80 million gallons. I'm afraid to think of what's going to happen to my well. In terms of threatening my business, I'm already living the nightmare. I have a second location in Buffalo County. There are many chicken CAFO farms up there, literally hundreds of thousands of chickens on the ridge where my restaurant is, and my water has failed. The nitrate levels have gone over 10, they're up around 13 or 14. And what we have to do in that case is the health department makes up put up signs that say if you're nursing, if you're pregnant or planning on being pregnant, or you have small children, you can't drink our water. And that's not real good for business. I mean, that's almost a death knell when you think about it. So I'm living the nightmare, and that's the nightmare I have for this place. Well, let's say we get a measurement next spring and we're at 12 or 13. Suddenly we've got to put these signs up. Are people going to continue to come when, their kids can't drink our water? They can't drink our mixed drinks because the ice is, contaminated? Or some of the food, obviously, it's rinsed in our water. It's just going to create concern, and it's going to hurt our business. And the poor Rush River that I grew up on, the storm runoff alone, there's a dry run that comes right from the farm up there and comes down through the valley, and it goes right over here, just on the other side of our Christmas tree farm and into the Rush River. I will never say anything negative about a farmer. They work so hard. They are passionate about their land, their herds. A lot of them name their cows. Wisconsin's America's dairy land, but this is just totally, totally, totally different. This is all concentrated in one small area to have that much manure in one place. It's not just here. The water safety in the state of Wisconsin is really in question. And so I think it's going to be more important than ever to test your water, whether you have a business or not, just to protect yourself. For those that don't get it tested, yeah, they could be endangering themselves or their kids or their wives who might be pregnant and wouldn't even know about it. And that's really scary. The word's getting out, and I think that the fact that a lot of wells are being condemned and it's spreading, it's making more and more people aware. And that's what we need, is to make people aware of what's going to happen with our water if we don't have some kinds of guidelines and rules. So there's lots of things: the property values, our wells, the environment. These are all things to be very concerned about, and we need the county and the state to recognize this, and we need government to step up. If they wait too long, it's going to be too late.
And then you just have to wait to find out if your kid is going to make it or not. Think about that fear. My son is 10 now. He was like 3 years old, and he just started having GI issues. We had gone to the ER. It became so bad to the point where, we had to take him up to Children's Hospital in St. Paul. He was so weak that just walking from his hospital bed to the bathroom was difficult for him. And then we found out he had E. coli. He tested positive for E. coli. We know how serious that is. So, yeah, we didn't know which strain he had, if his kidneys were going to start shutting down, or if he was going to live.
And waiting wasn't 7 to 10 days before you could find out whether you were going to have to get on the list for a kidney transplant for your 3-year-old.
Those days were scary. He doesn't remember much of it, but I'm kind of glad that he doesn't.
I'm Gabriel. I'm 10 years old. And I had E. coli poisoning for how long?
You were sick for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I had to lay in the hospital bed the whole time, pretty much. And it's just not fun being sick. I've been working on that shot. Thank goodness I got better.
We spent hours going through in our mind, where did this come from? And so it was days later that this announcement came out in the newspaper that said, if you live in Martell Township, you should have your water tested because there was a manure spill. So we hired a company to come and test our water, and sure enough, there was E. coli in our well.
It was not even a question that we were going to reuse that filthy well that we had. We had an account where we had enough money to make another well, so we had a choice. There's a lot of people that don't have that choice. I don't know who is the brilliant person that decided to let them build a factory dairy farm at the headwaters of the Rush River. Baffles me to this day why you would let somebody do that. All it takes is one rain and then it's gonna wash all that stuff right into the river. And I just want to make it clear too that I'm pro-farmer. I'm not against the farmer. I grew up on a dairy farm. Most of my family still farms, but I have different opinions of factory farms versus family farms.
Oh, family farms, it's totally different. These are not that. I really think that people do have a right to know that if there's a spill somewhere, you could take precautions before the neighbors all get sick. If a farm or whatever it is, a chemical plant or anyone has a spill or a leak, whatever, all of the residents around there should be notified. Because if we had known about this spill sooner, we would have never gotten to the point where our child could have died. And we just got lucky. I'm sure there are people in the world that weren't as lucky.
You do have the right to know what's in your drinking water. I mean, that should just be a right. You need to know what's in your drinking water. It's just common sense that we need to know.